Google Sheets has over 400 predefined functions that perform calculations using specific syntax and arguments. The typical function syntax consists of equal, then the function name, and in parentheses you have arguments. Functions can have required and optional arguments. When you don't include an argument that is required, you will receive an error. Some optional arguments have a default or can be omitted and the function works just fine without it. The formula bar at the top will show the function or formula in your selected cell, as well as you can see it when you enter the cell. There are several ways you can access Google Sheet list of functions. The first way is to select the functions icon on the very right of the formatting toolbar. Starting at the very top are the most frequently used functions such as sum, average, count, max, and min. When you scroll down, you can see categories for many other functions. When you select the Learn More at the very bottom, you will be redirected to the Google Sheets function list that can be searched and provide you more detail on each function. You can also access this function list from the menu by going to Help, Function List at the very bottom. Let's take a look at an example with the sum function. When you start typing its name as part of the formula, you will see any other functions that also start with the letters SUM. This is to help you find what you're looking for. Once you select sum, you will have a small blue question mark on the left of its name that says Turn on Formula Help, press F1. When you click on it, a small Formula Help pop-up appears that tells you what is the syntax for the function as well as few examples of how to use it. If you select Learn More at the bottom again, a much larger pop-up with sample usage, syntax, and notes appears. When you scroll to the very bottom of the pop-up, you can often find an example that Google Sheets provides to explain how to use the function. This is super helpful. Further down, you can select to open the pop-up in a new, much larger window, which is helpful when you don't want it covering part of your worksheet, but you want to keep it open as a reference. One hidden gem is the option to actually open the Google Sheet example in a new worksheet so that you can test it out and see exactly how the function works. Let's use the 10 most frequently used functions in Google Sheets. I have our personal budget selected list of expenses here, and I want to calculate the sum for each month. I will type equal, then sum, and per the sample usage, I can either list the items separately with a comma, but that's limited to 30 items, or select a range, which is the best practice. Now I can copy over the formula to the other months. If you want to find the average for each of the expenses, you can use the average function. Same as with the sum function, you can select items individually or specify the range. I'm going to copy it down and then delete it from any empty rows. Two other popular functions are the min and max, which find either the smallest or largest item in your range. You can use the absolute values here, but I just manually reselected the ranges. If you have an empty cell, all three functions will ignore it, but when you have a 0, they include it as part of the calculations. At any point when you're working with formulas and functions, you can select the cell and click on the formula bar to see which cells and ranges are included. This is a very important part of quality control, checking and rechecking your work. Two also useful functions are today and now. They are helpful especially when you want to have a timestamp for your worksheet or printout and for project management. When you type today and empty parentheses, today's date will appear. It is a dynamic function, which means you will be updated every time you open your worksheet. You can use it as part of a calculation, such as by adding 30 days to it, etc. The now function is very similar, but the main difference is that it provides a more detailed timestamp, including date and time to the second. You can also use it in calculations. If you need to count cells with numeric values, you can use the count function and select the range to count. It counts cells with zeros but won't count any empty cells. Often though, you need to count cells with text. If you copy over the count function to count the list of different expenses in your worksheet, it will result in 0 because the count function only counts numbers. It doesn't recognize text. To count cells with text, you have to change the count function to count A by adding the letter A to the end. However, this function does not only count any cells with text, it counts any non-empty cells. So if you have a number in a cell, it will be counted also. There are 3 logical functions that you should learn how to use, as they are very helpful and can be combined with many other functions. For example, if you wanted to indicate in our worksheet the largest expenses, we can create a function that does that. The if function has 3 arguments. The condition that you want to test, so we will test where the average amount is more than $250. Then the second argument is what you want to be done when that is true. So in our case, we will want to have a text that labels that row as big expense. And the last argument is what you want to do when the condition is false. In our case, we will do nothing. So we will put 2 apostrophes to indicate to leave the cell as blank. Now I can quickly tell that mortgage, groceries, car payment, and health insurance are my largest expenses. With the if function, you not only can combine it with other functions, but you can also nest another if function inside it. Instead of the last argument, if false, we can add another if function and say that for average expenses over 150 now, to be marked as medium expenses. And if the average is smaller, to leave it as blank. Finally, the AND and OR function in Sheets and Excel are Boolean logic functions. You can use them to evaluate multiple conditions and return a true or false result. For example, if we want to test conditions where the average is over $100 and minimum is equal to 0, we can say equal, then AND, and place the 2 conditions in the parentheses. You can have many conditions listed here. What you are testing is where both conditions are true, to return true. But if either of the condition is not true, to return false as a result. Now I can see that my car repair and maintenance expenses meet both conditions. I have an average that is over 100, but there is either 1 or more months where the total for this expense was 0. With the OR function, I am also testing these 2 arguments, but it will result in a true when either one of them is true. So I know that I can expect more true results than with my AND function. And that is exactly what happened. For example, my doctor expenses were on average over $204 each month, which is more than my argument of over $100, but I never had a month with 0 doctor expenses. However, since this function has an OR argument, I only had to have one of the conditions met. With these 10 functions, you can tackle many problems and calculations in Google Sheets. Thanks so much for watching.